Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Agnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yudapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrijatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakan Mitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Prisabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashacya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Srinvatam Svakata Krishna Punyashravana Kirtana Hridyandastoya Badrani Vidunuti Suhrit Satam Nastapráyesva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Shila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Hare Krishna, Manu Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Pranjal Prabhu,
Hare
and
Krishna, Swami Prabhu. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Obeisances of Krishna Prabhupada. Oh, Prabhu, you
Hare
started
Krishna,
late.
Devam Prabhu.
No, we had lecture, Prabhu. Did you join?
No, just for 5 minutes.
Oh, you need to watch it.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. I usually watch them in the morning. I love them in the morning.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhu.
I read a book, and then in the afternoon, I watch a lecture, read a book again.
Yes, Prabhu. It was a very nice lecture.
It's good to talk with you, Prabhu. I usually, don't talk that much because, I'm surrounded by non-devotee association. So unfortunate. So
Yes,
it's
Prabhu.
Oh,
good to
yes,
talk
Prabhu.
with
It's
you.
even my first time hearing your voice, actually.
Yes, Prabhu. I was surprised. I was thinking, I was trying to remember, has this happened recently or was it new?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare
Please accept my
all glories to
obeisances
Srila
of
Prabhupada
Prabhupada.
Krishna,
for
Praveen
giving me
Prabhu,
opportunity.
and Jai Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Good joining, Prabhu.
Hare
Did you
Krishna, Praveen Prabhu.
Thank
Please
you,
accept
Prabhu.
my humble
Hare
obeisances.
Krishna.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
I think you were there. Were you there, Praveen Prabhu, in the lecture?
Yes, I was there.
Yeah, it was very nice.
Semi Prabhu, you never miss Tattva lectures. I know you. Live lectures. You never do that.
Yes, Prabhu. Sometimes I miss the Singapore lectures, but
Yeah, because they're very early in the morning, Prabhu.
yes, Prabhu. But if it's Zoom lecture or something like that, usually I like to be there because that way Prabhu is interacting with more with the audience, so I like it.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. But then he no longer does Zoom. It's only YouTube Live.
Yes,
So
Prabhu.
is the Namita, Prabhu.
Yeah. But at the end, he looks through all the comments.
Oh,
But
yes, yes.
yeah, I hope he will do some Zoom meeting or some Ask Me Anything videos. Those are nice.
And usually, Prabhu, people ask about school, and
Oh,
then he
yeah.
tells you, you are a fool. I usually watch them.
Yes, Prabhu. Okay, today Manu Prabhu maybe can read because he could have his microphone. Or can you read, Prabhu? Is
So
it
we can
possible?
hear
Yes,
the
Yes,
translation.
Prabhu. I think I can, but I don't know how long. But I will read,
Yes,
Prabhu. I
Prabhu.
will read this one.
You can mute anytime when it's too troublesome.
So thank you so much, Prabhu, for understanding. Just
Yes,
unfortunate
Prabhu.
situation.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
So yes. So shall I start, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
सोऽयम् अद्य महाराज भगवान् भावनः कालरूपो वटीर्नोष्यम् अभावाय द्विषां सः. That Supreme Lord, I am the Lord Shri Krishna, Adya, at present, Maharaja, O King, Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Bhuta Bhavanaha, the creator of or the father of everything created, Kala Rupaha, in the disguise of devouring time, Avartinaha, descended, Asyam, upon the world, Abhavaya, for eliminating, Suradvisham, those who are against the will of the Lord. Translation and purport by A.C. Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
That Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna, in the guise of all-devouring time, Kala Rupa, has now descended on the earth to eliminate the envious from the world. But there are two classes of human beings, namely the envious and the obedient. Since the Supreme Lord is one and the Father of all living beings, the envious living beings are also his sons, but they are known as the Asuras. But the living beings who are obedient to the Supreme Father are called Devatas or demigods. Because they are not contaminated by the material conception of life, the Asuras are not only envious of the Lord in, in even denying the existence of the Lord, but they are also envious of all other living beings. The predominance of Asuras in the world is occasionally. Can you scroll down, Prabhu? Prabhu, can you? Thank you, Prabhu. Rectified by the Lord when he eliminates them from the world and establishes a rule of Devatas like the Pandavas. His designation as Kala in disguise is significant. He is not at all dangerous, but he is the transcendental form of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. For the devotees, his factual form is disclosed, and for the non-devotees, he appears like Kala Rupa, which is casual form. This casual form of the Lord is not at all pleasing to the Asuras, and therefore they think of the Lord as formless in order to feel secure that they will not be vanquished by the Lord. निष्पादितं देवकृत्यम् अवेशसां प्रतीक्षते तावद् यूयम् अवेक्षाद्वम् bhavet yavad iheshwaraha nispaditam, performed devakrityam, what was to be done on behalf of the demigods. Aveshasham, the rest, pratikshate, being awaited. Tavat, up to that time. Yuyam, all of you, Pandavas. Avekshadvam, observe and wait. Bhavet, may, yavat, as long as. Iha, in this world. Ishvaraha, the Supreme Lord. Translation. The Lord has already performed his duties to help the demigods, and he is awaiting the rest. You Pandavas may wait as long as the Lord is here on earth. Purport. The Lord descends from his abode, Krishnaloka, the topmost planet in the spiritual sky, in order to help the demigods administrators of this material world when they are greatly vexed by the asuras, who are not only envious of the Lord but also of his devotees. As referred to above, the conditioned living beings contact material association by their own choice, dictated by a strong desire to lord it over the resources of the material world and become imitation lords of all they survey. Everyone is trying to become an imitation god. There is keen competition amongst such imitation gods, and such competitors are generally known as asuras. When there are too many asuras in the world, then it becomes a hell for those who are devotees of the Lord. Due to the growth of the asuras, the mass of people who are generally devoted to the Lord by nature and Prabhu, can you scroll down? Thank you, Prabhu. And the pure devotees of the Lord, including the demigods in higher planets, pray to the Lord for relief. And the Lord either descends personally from his abode or deputes some of his devotees to remodel the fallen condition of human society or even animal society. Such disruptions take place not only in human society but also amongst animals, birds, or other living beings, including the demigods in the higher planets. Lord Shri Krishna descended personally to vanquish asuras like Kamsa, Jarasandha, Shishupala, etc. And during the reign of Maharaj Yudhishthira, almost all these asuras were killed by the Lord. Now he was awaiting the annihilation of his own dynasty called the Yaduvamsa, who appeared by his will in this world. He wanted to take them away before his own departure to his eternal abode. Narada, like Vidura, did not disclose the imminent annihilation of the Yadu dynasty, but indirectly gave a hint to the king and his brothers to wait till the incident happens and the Lord departs. Dhritarashtraha saha brata, what is that, Prabhu? Bratra Gandharya cha swabharyaya dakshinayana himavata rishinam ashramam gataha Dhritarashtra, Saha along with Bhrata, his brother Vidura, Gandhari, also Cha and Swabharyaya, his own wife, Dakshinena, by the southern side, Himavataha, of the Himalayan mountains, Rishinam, of the rishis, ashramam, in shelter, Gataha, he has gone. Translation: O king, your uncle Dhritarashtra, his brother Vidura, and his wife Gandhari have gone to the southern side of the Himalayan mountains, where there are shelters of the great sages. Purport. To pacify the mourning Maharaj Yudhishthira, Narada first of all spoke from the philosophical point of view, and then he began to describe the future movements of his uncle, which he could see by his foreseeing powers, and thus began to describe as follows. Does anyone want to take that, Prabhu, or shall I continue?
I can do that, bro. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Haribol.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Haribol. This is text 52. Yes. Okay. Srotobihi सप्तभिर् यावै स्वर्धूनि सप्तध्वां व्यधात् सप्तानां प्रेतये नाम स्रोतः प्रचक्षते स्रोतोभिः by currents saptabihi by 7 divisions ya the river why certainly Swardhuni, the sacred Ganges, Saptadha, 7 branches, Vyathat, created, Saptanam, of the 7, Pretaye, for the satisfaction of Nama, various, Saptasrotaha, 7 sources, Prachakshate, known by name. Translation purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The place is called Saptasrota, divided by 7, because there the waters of the sacred Ganges divide into 7 branches. This was done for the satisfaction of the 7 great rishis. There is no purport here. Okay. Text 53. Snatvanu savanam tasmin hutva chagnin yatha vidhi अभक्तश अभक्तश उपशान्तात्मा स आस्ते विगतैषणः स्नात्वा by taking bath अनुसवनम regularly 3 times, morning, noon and evening. Tasmin, in that Ganges divided into 7. Hutva, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice. Cha, also Agnin, in the fire. Yatha Vidhi, by just according to the tenets of the scripture. Abhaktashaha, fasting. Abhakshaha, fasting by drinking only water. Upashanta, completely controlled. Atma, the gross senses and the subtle mind. Saha, Dhritarashtra, Aste, would be situated. Vigata, devoid of. Eshanaha, thoughts in relation with family welfare. Translation. On the banks at Saptashrota, Dhritarashtra is now engaged in beginning Ashtanga Yoga by bathing 3 times daily in the morning, noon, and evening, by performing the Agnihotra sacrifice with fire, and by drinking only water. This helps one control the mind and the senses and frees one completely from thoughts of familial affection. Purport. The yoga system is a mechanical way to control the senses and the mind and divert them from matter to spirit. The preliminary processes are the sitting, posture, meditation, spiritual thoughts, manipulation of air passing within the body, and gradual situation in trance, facing the absolute person, Paramatma. Such mechanical ways of rising up to the spiritual platform prescribe some regulative principles of taking bath daily 3 times, fasting as far as possible, sitting and controlling the mind on spiritual matters, and thus gradually becoming free from Vishaya or material objectives. Material existence means to be absorbed in the material objective, which is simply illusory. House, country, family, society, children, property, business, etc. are some of the material coverings of the spiritual Atma. And the yoga system helps one become free from all these illusory thoughts and gradually turn towards the absolute person, Paramatma. By material association and education, we learn simply to concentrate. Rohit, can you please scroll down? Yeah. Concentrate on flimsy things. But yoga is the process of forgetting them altogether. Modern so-called yogis and yoga systems manifest some magical feats and ignorant persons are attracted by such as false things, or they accept the yoga system as a cheap healing process for diseases of the gross body. But factually, the yoga system is the process of learning to forget what we have acquired throughout the struggle for existence. Dhritarashtra was all along engaged in improving family affairs by raising the standard of living of his sons, or by usurping the property of the Pandavas for the sake of his own sons. These are common affairs for a man grossly materialistic and without knowledge of the spiritual force. He does not see how this can drag one from heaven to hell. By the grace of his younger brother, Vidura, Dhritarashtra was enlightened and could see his grossly illusionary engagements, and by such enlightenment, he was able to leave home from spiritual realization. Sri Naradeva was just foretelling the way of his spiritual progress in a place which was sanctified by the flow of the celestial Ganges. Drinking water only without solid food is also considered fasting. This is necessary for advancement of spiritual knowledge. A foolish man wants to be a cheap yogi without observing the regulative principles. A man who has no control over the tongue at first can hardly become a yogi. Yogi and bhogi are two opposite terms. The bhogi, or the merryman who eats and drinks, cannot be yogi, or a yogi is never allowed to eat and drink unrestrictedly. We may note with profit how Dhritarashtra began his yoga system by drinking water only and sitting calmly in a place with a spiritual atmosphere, deeply absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord Hari, the personality of Godhead. Text 54. Jitasano jita जिताश्वासः प्रत्याहृतासशद् इन्द्रियः भावनया द्वष्टराजः सत्व तमोमलः. Jitasanaha, one who has controlled the sitting posture. Jita Shwasaha, one who has controlled the breathing process. Pratyahrita, turning back. Sat, Shat, 6. Indriya, senses. Hari, the absolute personality of Godhead. Bhavanaya, absorbed in. The Dvashta, conquered. Rajaha, passion. Sattva, goodness. Tamaha, ignorance. Malaha, contaminations. Translation. One who has controlled the sitting postures, the yogi asana, and the breathing process can turn the senses toward the absolute personality of Godhead, and thus become immune from the contaminations of the modes of material nature, namely mundane, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Purport. The preliminary activities of the way of yoga are asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhyana, dharana, etc. Maharaj Dhritarashtra was to attain success in those preliminary actions because he was seated in a sanctified place and was concentrating upon one objective, namely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari. Thus, all his senses were being engaged in the service of the Lord. This process directly helps the devotee to get freedom from the contaminations of the three material modes of nature. Even the highest mode, the material mode of goodness, is also a cause of material bondage, and what to speak of the other qualities, namely passion and ignorance. Passion and ignorance increase the material propensities of hankering for material enjoyment, and a strong sense of lust provokes the accumulation of wealth and power. One who has conquered these two base mentalities and has raised himself on the platform of goodness, which is full of knowledge and morality, cannot also control the senses, namely the eyes, the tongue, the nose, the ear, and touch. But one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Lord Hari, as above mentioned, can transcend all influences of the modes of material nature and be fixed in the service of the Lord. The Bhakti Yoga process, therefore, directly applies senses to the loving service of the Lord. This prohibits the performer from engaging in material activities. This process of turning the senses from material attachment to the loving transcendental service of the Lord is called pratyahara. This process of turning the senses from material attachment to the loving transcendental service of the Lord is called pratyahara. And when the and the very process is called pranayama, ultimately ending in samadhi or absorption in pleasing the Supreme Lord Hari by all means. Text 55. Vignatmani samyojya kshetrajñe pravilapya tam brahmanyatmanam adhare घटांबरम इवांबरे Vijnana, purified identity, Atmani, of intelligence, Samyogya, perfectly fixed up, Kshetrajne, in the matter of the living being, Pravilapya, merging, Tam, him, Brahmani, in the supreme, Atmanam, pure living being, Adhare, in the reservoir, Ghatambaram, sky within the block, Iva, like Ambare, in the supreme sky. Translation: Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate in his pure identity with intelligence and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. Purport. The living being, by his desiring to lord it over the material world and declining to cooperate with the Supreme Lord, con- uh, contacts the sum total of the material world, namely the Mahatattva, and from the Mahatattva, his false identity with the material world, intelligence, mind, and the senses is developed. This covers his pure spiritual identity. By the yogic process, when his pure identity is realized, which is known as self-realization, then one has to revert to the original position by amalgamating the five gross elements and the subtle elements, mind and intelligence, into the Mahatattva again. Thus, getting freed from the clutches of the Mahatattva, he has to merge in the existence of the Super Soul. In other words, qualitatively, he has to realize that qualitatively he is non-different from the Supreme Soul. And thus he transcends the material sky by his pure identical intelligence and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the highest perfectional development of spiritual identity, which was attained by Dhritarashtra by the grace of Vidra and the Lord. The Lord's mercy was bestowed upon him by his personal contact with Vidra, and when he was actually practicing the instructions of Vidra, the Lord helped him attain the highest perfectional stage. A pure devotee of the Lord does not live in any planet of the material sky, nor does he feel any contact with material elements. His so-called material body doesn't exist. Being surcharged with the spiritual current of the Lord's identical interest, and thus he is permanently freed from all contaminations of the sum total of the Matattva. He is always in the spiritual sky, which he attains by being transcendental to the sevenfold material coverings effect of his by the effect of his devotional service. The conditioned souls are within the coverings, whereas the liberated soul is far beyond the cover. Text 55. Dvastamanaya gunodarko निरुद्ध करणाशयः निवर्तिताखिलहारा आस्ते स्थाणुर् इवाचलः तस्यान्तरायो मयिवाभूः संन्यस्ताखिल कर्मणः. Dvashta, being destroyed. Maya guna, the modes of material nature. Udarkshaha, after effects. Niruddha, being suspended. Karana Ashayaha, the senses and the mind. Nivartita, stopped. Akhila, all. Ahara, food for the senses. Aste is sitting. Sthanuhu, immovable. Iva, like. Adhuni Achalaha, fixed up. Tasya, he. Antarayaha, hindrances. Ma iva, never like that. Abhuha, be. Sanyasta, renounced. Akhila, all sorts. Karmanaha, material duties. Translation. He will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path. Purport. Dhritarashtra had attained by the yogic process the stage of negation of all sorts of material reaction. The effects of the material modes of nature. Could you please come down, bro? Next page. Yeah. Nature draw the effects of the material modes of nature draw the victim to the indefatigable desires of enjoying matter. But one can escape such false enjoyment by the yogic process. Every sense is always busy searching for its food, and thus the conditioned soul is assaulted from all sides and has no chance to become steady in any pursuit. Maharaj Yudhishthira was advised by Narada not to disturb his uncle by attempting to bring him back home. He was now beyond the attraction of anything material. The material modes of nature, the gunas, have their different modes of activities, but above the material modes of nature, there is a spiritual mode also which is absolute. Nirguna means without reaction. The spiritual mode and its effect are identical. Therefore, the spiritual quality is distinguished from its material counterpart by the word nirguna. After a complete suspension of the material modes of nature, one is admitted to the spiritual sphere, and action dedicated by the spiritual modes is called devotional service or bhakti. Bhakti is therefore nirguna, attained by direct contact with the absolute. Text 57. Sava adhyatanad rajan paratah panchame hani kalevaram asyanti swam tacha bhashmi bhavishyanti saha He va in all probability adya today tanat from Rajan, O king, paratah ahead panchame on the fifth ahani day kalevaram body hasyati shall quit swam his own tat that cha also basmi ashes bhavishyanti will turn into. Translation. O king, he will quit his body most probably on the fifth day from today, and his body will turn to ashes. Purport. Narada Muni's prophecy prohibited Yudhishthira to go to the place where his uncle was staying because even after quitting the body by his own mystic power, Dhritarashtra would not be in need of any funeral ceremony because Narada Muni indicated that his body by itself would burn to ashes. The perfection of the yoga system is attained by such mystic power. The yogi is able to quit his body by his own choice of time and can attain any planet he desires by turning the present body into ashes by self-made fire. Text 58. Dahyamane दह्यमाने घ्निभिर पत्युः पत्नी सहोतजे बहिः स्थिता पतिं साध्वी तम अग्निम अनु वेक्ष्यति दह्यमाने while it is burning agnibhi by the fire dehe the body patyuhu of the husband Patni, the wife, Saha Ut, Ut, Utaje, along with the thatched cottage, Vahihi outside, Stita, situated, Patim, unto the husband, Sadhvi, the chaste lady, Tam, that, Agnim, fire, Anu, Vekshyati, looking with great attention, shall enter the fire. Translation. While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power, along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention. Purport. Gandhari was an ideal chaste lady, a life companion of her husband, and therefore, when she saw her husband burning in the fire of mystic yoga, along with his cottage of leaves, she despaired. She left home after losing her 100 sons, and in the forest she saw that her most beloved husband was also burning. Now she actually felt alone and therefore entered the fire of her husband and followed her husband to death. This entering of a chaste lady into the fire of her dead husband is called the sati rite, and the action is considered to be most perfect for a woman. In a later age, the sati rite became an obnoxious criminal affair because the ceremony was forced upon even an unwilling woman. In this fallen age, it is not possible for any lady to follow the sati rite as chastely as it was done by Gandhari and others in past ages. A chaste wife like Gandhari would feel the separation of her husband to be more burning than actual fire. Such a lady can observe the sati rite voluntarily, and there is no criminal force by anyone. When the rite became a formality only and force was applied upon a lady to follow the principle, actually it became criminal, and therefore the ceremony was to be stopped by state law. This prophecy of Narada Muni to Maharaj Yudhishthira forbade him to go to his widow aunt. Text 59. Vidrastu tad आश्चर्यं निशाम्य कुरुनन्दना हर्षशोकयुतस् तस्माद् गन्तातीर्थ निषेवकः Vidura also too, but that incidents Ashcharyam wonderful Nishamya seeing Kurunandana, O son of the Kuru dynasty, Harsha, delight, Shoka, grief, Yutaha, affected by Tasmat, from that place, Ganta, went away, Tirtha, place of pilgrimage, Nishevakaha, from being enlivened. Translation. Vidura being affected with delight and grief will then leave that place of sacred pilgrimage. Purport. Vidura was astonished to see the marvelous departure of his brother Dhritarashtra as a liberated yogi, for in his past life he was much attached to materialism. Of course, it was only due to Vidura that his brother attained the desirable goal of life. He was therefore glad to learn about it, but he was sorry that he could not make his brother turn into a pure devotee. This was not done by Vidura because of Dhritarashtra's being inimical to the Pandavas, who were all devotees of the Lord. An offense at the feet of the Vaishnava is more dangerous than an offense of the lotus feet of the Lord. Vidura was certainly very liberal to bestow mercy upon his brother Dhritarashtra, whose past life was very materialistic. But ultimately, the result of such mercy is certainly dependent on the will of the Supreme Lord in the present life. Therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only, and after many such liberated states of life, one can attain to the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of Dhritarashtra. Please scroll down, Babu. Where is it? Bestow mercy upon his with past but ultimately the result of such mercy is certainly dependent on the will of the Supreme Lord in the present life. Therefore, Dhritarashtra attained liberation only, and after many such liberated states of life, one can attain to the stage of devotional service. Vidura was certainly very mortified by the death of his brother and sister-in-law, and the only remedy to mitigate such lamentation was to go out to pilgrimage. Thus, Maharaj Yudhishthira had no chance to call back Vidura, his surviving uncle. Text 60. The printing is not that good here. Okay. रुहत् स्वर्गम नारदः सह तुम्बुरः युधिष्ठिरो वचस्तस्य हृदि कृत्वा जहाचुच्चः इति. Thus, Uktva, having addressed Atha, thereafter Aruhat ascended Swargam, outer space, Narada, the great sage Narada, Saha, along with Tumburhu, his stringed instrument, Veena, Yudhishthira, Maharaj Yudhishthira, Vachaha, instruction Tasya of his Hridi Kritva, keeping in the heart, Ajahat, gave up Suchaha, all lamentations. Shuchaha, all lamentations. Translation. Having spoken thus, the great sage Narada, along with his Veena, ascended into outer space. Yudhishthira kept his instruction in his heart and so was able to get rid of all lamentations. Purport. Sri Naradaji is an eternal spaceman, having been endowed with a spiritual body by the grace of the Lord. He can travel in the outer spaces of both the material and spiritual worlds without restriction and can approach any planets by mechanical means. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pious king and his previous life as the son of a maid servant. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pious king and his previous life as the son of a maid servant. What is the proof? It doesn't make sense at all. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pious king, okay, and his previous life as the son of a maid servant. Because of his association with pure devotees, he was elevated to the position of an eternal spaceman.
Yes, Prabhu. What is this?
Narada, maybe.
1/3.
Narada was the son of a pure maid servant. It's not Yudhishthira.
Yes, Prabhu, I think it's Narada Muni.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Krishna
Prabhu,
may-
it is Narad Muni only I've heard.
But Prabhu?
I've heard from Prabhupada. Prabhupada also says in his lecture that, yeah, Narad Muni was son of a maid servant, and then due to the association, no, due to serving the saints, the seed of bhakti, and like it grew and he became so great devotee.
That's fine. Yeah. Yeah, there is a correction here. Okay, I think the website has got some latest update here.
One second.
You can travel in the outer spaces of both material and spiritual worlds without restriction. Can approach any planets by mechanical means. Okay. Next, we have already discussed his previous life as the son of a maid servant.
Yes, Prabhu.
Because of his because of his association with pure devotees, he was elevated to the position of an eternal spaceman and thus had freedom of movement. One should therefore try to follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni and not make a futile effort to reach other planets by mechanical means. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pious king. Here it is, yeah. Maharaj Yudhishthira was a pious king and therefore he could see Narada Muni occasionally. Anyone who desires to see Narada Muni must first be pious and follow in the footsteps of Narada Muni. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 13th chapter of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entitled Dhritarashtra Quits Home.
Haribol. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, tomorrow we start this disappearance of Krishna.
On the appearance days of
Hare
on the
Krishna,
appearance days of
Prabhu, why so late today, Prabhu?
Because we had lecture, Prabhu.
Which lecture, Prabhu?
Advait Prabhu had the part 2.
I'll watch. Oh, Radhashmi on my. I had seen that yesterday. Whole 2 hours. I'll
Yes, Prabhu.
watch
Today
that.
was part 2.
Okay, Prabhu. Actually, I had gone to the market sides to purchase some fruits and peanuts for today.
Yes, Prabhu.
So that's why. But one thing I asked, Prabhu, peanuts is fine or what? Somewhere I have seen that peanuts is kind of partial because Prabhu, morning I had just had 2 apples and had taken medicine. Due to medicine, I am taking some little heavy food. Like peanuts is a little heavier than apples.
Yes, Prabhu. Peanut is
Like
so.
only peanuts and maybe I can put some sindhanama. Sindhanama I don't have right now.
What is that?
That is actually Prabhu. We eat that in Ekadashi. Akashji Prabhu told me.
Yes, Prabhu. I don't know what it is.
Like not normal salt. That is sindhanama. We say that.
Yes,
We don't eat normal salt on Ekadashi.
It is called Saindavalavana or Saindaval salt or Himalaya salt or pink salt as well.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. Oh, what's the reason? Do you know what we know called and Sena?
Prahlad Prabhu said in Istagosti we don't really need to use it, but some use it for some. There was some reason, but
Okay. Yeah, normal is also
yes,
fine. I had normal peanuts. I can have that also.
yes, Prabhu. Okay, Hari Bol. Now let's go to 60-second prayers. Cheto Panamarjanam Bhavamaha Davagninirvapanam Shreyah Kairavachandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jeevanam Anandam Bhutivardhanam Pratipadam Purnamritasvadanam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam.
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तिस् तत्रापिता निज नियमितः स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवम् ईदृशम् इहाजनि नानुरागः कृणादपि
Krinadapi Sunishena Karodapi Sahishana Manina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadaha.
सुत्री सदा हरिः कमलो न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितां वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवताद् भक्तिर्अहेतुकी त्वयि
हैनन्ततनुजा किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवां पुतौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजास्थितदूरे सदृशं विचिन्तय
नयनं गरदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गदहृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं व्यपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति युगायितं निमीषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृषायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहे नमः नमे
अश्लिष्य वा पादरतं पिनष्टु माम् अदर्शनान्मर्महतां करोतु वा यथा तथा वा विदधातु पतो मत्प्राणनाथस्तु स एव न परः Glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. This Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benedictions to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. O my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
O Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service, birth after birth.
Oh, my Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth. Oh, sorry, it's been read.
Yeah, the next one, Prabhu, Sami Prabhu.
O son of Maharaj Ananda Krishna, I am your eternal servitor. Yet somehow or other, I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from the ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name? Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence. I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so even if he handles me roughly in his embrace or makes me broken hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
हरि बोल श्री शिक्षाष्टकम की जय चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय बहुजन्म करे आदि श्रवण कीर्तन तबुतान पाया कृष्ण पाद प्रेमदान. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of Godhead. That is the ultimate goal for this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense, to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Disobey the orders of the spiritual master and to consider him as a normal human being.
Fourth offense, to blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense, to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense, to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense, to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense, to consider the chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karma Kanda.
Ninth offense, to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
Tenth offense, not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired result, Krishna Prema.
Let us offer humble obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha
Vansha
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha,
kalpatarubhyascha kripa
कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च
sindhubhya eva cha patitanam
पतितानां
pavanebhyo
पावनेभ्यो
vaishnavebhyo
वैष्णवेभ्यो
namo
नमो
namaha.
नमः.
Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai.
Prabhupada ki jai. Tagore Premnand. Hरि Bol.
Jai. Hari Hari Bol.
In the chat, everyone is suffering from classes. Oh, Krishna. Yes, Prabhu, I'm praying the classes to end. Kanti Prabhu is also in the exam always.
Prabhus, I am reading this book, Science of Self-Realization. I'm now just starting the seventh chapter, second last, saintly compassion. So the later part of this book, it is so practical and scientific, like anyone can understand. Anyone, like, like I normally carry the book to my classes. So one Mataji read that, one Prabhu also read. They were
So
like, ah, nice, it's practical. What, Prabhu?
what they say, what the Mataji says when she read Science of
The
Realization?
Mataji, what Mataji is, Prabhu, One Mataji is from Bangladesh, and her mother is connected to ISKCON, and that's why she also chants sometimes. But as she is connected to ISKCON, that's not properly following. So she is also having material attachments like enjoyment here and there. She posts on Instagram her
But she
body
needs
and
the
everything.
stance of
But still, she's nice girl. So
she
what I did, Prabhu, today,
yes, Prabhu.
I just sat beside her today, little far, one bench, little far, and I started like lab started. What I do, Prabhu? Previously, time was getting wasted. Lab started, they were like doing some technical error. That took half an hour. I read 10-15 minutes. Then she told me, "What you reading? What you give me, give me." She snatched away the book.
Oh, that's nice
And
of
then
her.
she, okay,
Was
nice.
it
I
today?
told her to read. I told her to read that one page.
Oh,
She read one page, and she's like, "Wow, huh, it is nice. Yeah, we should serve. Only if we will be serving, then we won't have any ego." And I told her, yeah, serving the Lord mainly. And if you serve the Lord, then you serve everyone. I just
yes, Prabhu.